Hello, my name is Donna Williams, and I'm doing a clip about my journey with breast cancer. And I had a double mastectomy about a week ago. I had this not because I have the BRCA gene, but because I had comedocarcinoma. Comedocarcinoma cells are different to regular breast cancer cells. Regular breast cancer cells tend to grow at a rate of about 0.5 centimetre a year, so they can be more easily found on a mammogram before they've necessarily caused the kind of havoc that will result in ending up in the chemo suite. Comedocarcinomas they don't play as nicely as that. So my 3 centimetre tumour grew in about 3 months. It wasn't there on the mammogram I had 8 months before. And so I didn't feel reassured about the idea of a 6-monthly mammogram would pick up the next one. I was offered a lumpectomy because the surgeon and the team tend to err on the side of conservative treatment. I read up what comedocarcinoma is all about. Which I wasn't directed to do that. I read it in my own pathology report. I did my own research. I saw this term necrosis and comedo, and I thought, and I looked it up, and I found that unlike regular breast cancers, comedocarcinoma cells have a very high return rate. So they have 100% malignancy. Regular breast cancer cells have 30% malignancy. Comedocarcinoma has up to a 50% return rate to the affected breast and up to 40% return rate to the unaffected breast. And so that's a 1 in 2 chance to one of the breasts, and up kind of between 2 and 3, a 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 chance of returning to the unaffected breast, where regular breast cancers have around a 10 to 20% return rate. So a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 chance versus a 1 in 2 or 1 in 2 to 3 chance of having the cancer return. So I didn't feel very confident about that, having a little lump taken out and knowing that I had a 1 in 2 chance of it coming back to the same breast, or a 1 in 2 to 3 chance of it coming to the other breast. So I took the initiative and the assertiveness of asking the surgeon to please remove my breast, and then I went back and I got the other one removed, and I feel really glad about having done that. I did end up going through chemo, hence the lovely new hair that's coming back, and it looks like a very short haircut. But I did spend sort of 6 months sort of getting through all that and out the other side. As for pain, I had 2 Panadol the night of my mastectomy, and that was because of the cannula in my hand was very uncomfortable. And once I got home, I had no painkillers since. I had 4 days hospital stay, but instead came home within 24 hours because I was already walking around the corridor and asking to go off for a walk around the local lake. And so I was told I was doing so well I could go home. So people who feel, that mastectomy is going to be, horrendous and, whatever, it might be more extreme for them than it was for me. I had medium-sized breasts. I now have none. So I think I was about a 14C before. And whilst that may not be huge for women who have huge breasts, it's certainly bigger than the less than AA that I now have. And so that gives you some idea of my recovery in relation to the breast tissue that got removed. I am appearing like this because there's not a lot of women who really will show you what a mastectomy chest looks like. I don't feel like showing my whole chest right now, but I will at least show you. This is the bandage that I had when I came out from my mastectomy, and as you can see, it's really just like a little boob tube kind of thing. No real biggie. So underneath this I have sort of angled, I've done those unsymmetrically, so I have these angled, I can't seem to do it, scars that come down, and they are quite symmetrical. They are healing really well, and essentially the rest of my chest will end up looking pretty much like this looks like. So I have here, these are the muscle tissue, and the breast was underneath this muscle tissue. So there will be, this will remain, I guess, more extended than the breasts that are now gone. But otherwise, it really is just a flat. It's just a flat chest. And for me, one of the great role models during my my journey with breast cancer was Keira Knightley, who looked wonderful being a flat-chested person, although not a mastectomy one. And I had an aunt who was quite a humorous and very real kind of person who was fairly flat-chested. I don't remember her having any breasts. She'd make jokes about, people looking at her nipples because she didn't have any breasts. But she was just somebody I drew on as my inspiration, that this didn't have to affect my femaleness and didn't have to affect my feelings of attractiveness. I chose not to have reconstruction because I didn't want to take my back muscles and stick them over into my breasts, which is one of the ways they do it. I didn't want to have my buttocks or my thighs cut into and any of that tissue stuck in there. I'd always know I was looking down at my thighs and my bum. I didn't want my stomach cut open and stomach fat put in there, and besides, estrogen receptive cancers like fat too, so I didn't see any point in giving them fat any more than I saw leaving them some breast tissue, which is the only place that they return to. So I just removed the home they would like to return to, so there's nowhere for them to start up again. So after mastectomy, apparently I have about 2% of breast tissue, so that's where you're at when 98% of your breast tissue has been removed. So I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty confident about that. I now wanted to show people a little bit about my journey with clothing as a mastectomy person. So I'm going to dip out of the view of the camera and just show you a little tour of some of the clothes that I wear as part of being a mastectomy person. Okay, this first one is an example of the use of pattern. And I wasn't really a person who wore a lot of pattern in my clothing. I tended to find when other people wore patterns it's a bit visually overwhelming, and yet I found that when I spent 6 months waiting for my second mastectomy, because they removed the cancerous breast, I had to find clothing that hid the fact I was a one-breasted woman, because I didn't want to wear a prosthesis because I knew I was going to go ahead and become a flat girl. So I found this fabulous little dress, and I could pretty much hide being one-breasted by wearing something that was this patterned. It has little ties here. It has a waist that is not sitting down here on the waist. And why that's kind of nice is when things sit actually on the waist, you get this long flat chest. So by having these sort of where you sometimes you'll get a dress that's got the gather that's up here, and I love that sort of style, or you've got it that's just under the breast line, which is quite nice, and then you have all this sort of flowy thing. And the fact it's got its buttons down the front, again, you don't have this completely plain thing that draws attention to the fact that you have no breasts. And I like this squared neck. I also wear scoop neck clothes. I don't wear stuff that is V, because V is designed to draw attention to breasts or cleavage, and then if you don't have any, it can make you feel more self-conscious. I have this, it's quite short, and this is quite nice because it doesn't dangle or draw attention to, hey, here's the cleavage I don't have. I do wear sort of pendant necklaces, but I tend to wear them fairly short so that I'm not wearing them down where I should have cleavage or I should have breasts. So that's sure, on the side there I am, flat as a tack. Which actually makes me feel pretty good. I mean, my husband says that what's so attractive about my flat chest is that he knows he's going to get to keep me for a lot longer. He associates it with bravery and with a longer use-by date, so a longer expiry date. And I think that's pretty nice. We also said when I had my first mastectomy that when we hugged, my heart was even closer to his. And I do feel that when I hug as a person who's got a mastectomy chest, I can feel his chest much closer to mine. It's an interesting experience because I actually feel, I don't know, somehow like we're closer than I felt having these balloons out in front of me. So whilst they're nice and soft and balloony when you hug, hugging as a flat-chested person is pretty nice too. So I'm going to show you some more. Okay, this next one is an example of tops that have a little yoke to them. So the yoke and the gathering work really nice because there's nothing huggy that is drawing attention to and accentuating the flatness of the chest. So this one is with, not very expensive. It's got this little yoke that the line here is above where the breasts would be, and it's got a nice gather to it, so you can wear it. People could just guess, is she flat-chested? How flat-chested is she? And let that be their crap. So anyway, there you go. That's what it looks like, and I just wear it with some pants here. But I've also got one like this that's a full-length dress, and it looks kind of, I think it looks fairly pretty. Makes me feel female enough, and yeah, so I bought this one for my birthday whilst I was going through chemo, and I put it in the cupboard waiting for when I would have the second mastectomy so I could wear it as a flat-chested girl. So I'll show you a few more. Okay, this one here is from a charity shop, so I got it really cheap, and I got a load of these. I really like the style. It worked for me as a one-breasted woman. I would just wear it with a little sort of mesh waistcoat thing over the top that would disguise the one-breastedness, obscure it a bit more. And this is what it's like. Again, you have this abundance of patterns, so you don't notice the flat-chestedness. You have the rounded neck, so again, you're not accentuating breasts and a cleavage that you don't have. It's got its little gather just here at the, I suppose, just under what would be my breasts that aren't there. And so it's sort of still, it's interesting that if you wear something that comes straight down to the waist and has no place for the chest, you actually notice the flatness of the chest far more. So I chose something like this, and again, these are little, you can get them as a full-length dress, or you can get them as a sort of top thing, and you just wear them over the top of your pants like that. So I'll show you a few more things. Stripes are interesting. So I had never really been a stripe person at all. I felt that stripes just, I don't know, I felt that they put weight on, yeah, they just wasn't really me. But I found these. And what's interesting about this little stripy number is because it's got these panels here, it actually gives this look as if your breasts are there. So I don't have any breasts there. I am absolutely completely flat, but from the front it really doesn't look particularly like I don't have any breasts at all. So I have a number of stripy tops, and I feel that they sort of work quite well. So I hope you enjoyed that journey, and I hope it raises your own confidence if you choose to go breastless. And I hope it also fills people in about some of the differences between regular breast cancers and the situation of the 5% of women who have the 5% of breast cancers that Comedocarcinoma, and why some of those women may choose to have double mastectomy rather than cope with the constant risk of such a high potential return rate of such a dangerously fast growing and 100% malignant type of cancer cell. So all the best to you in your journey, and that's it from me. Bye.